Okay, so it's 7:34 on the 4th, and the lighting's so much different than I'm used to, because usually my light's right here, and it's dark all around me. But in this room, I'm in the media room, or movie room or whatever, and so it just says these lights on the wall, and so it seems kind of dim in here. You know, another thing that's wild, it's weird because I just am not very electronic person, you know, that technology or whatever. And like they got, when you go places and everybody else is, and they're just constantly talking to the electronic person. And so anyways, I couldn't figure out how to turn the lights off in here last night. So I go downstairs and I said, where's the light switch? How do you turn the lights off? And they said, you just tell Alexis. I was like, okay. But it was kind of cool because then I could just be like, watch this. Alexis, lights off. They're going to go off. Woo! Alexa, lights on. And then also, so then I laid there and I was like, dang, I don't have the fan or anything. And I was like, oh, but Alexa does. So I told Alexa to put on Ocean Waves, and she put them on blasting. And then I had to tell her, turn them down, turn them down, turn them down, turn them down like 20 times. But then it got to a good tone. But then, so it's kind of handy, especially for somebody who doesn't do technology like that all the time. And other people who do, I can see why people do. It's so weird. And then there's these 3 new cats and 2 dogs, 2 little tiny dogs. I don't even know if they're as big as the cats. But as soon as I came, I've got a thing with animals. They just love me. And so they're just like on top of me or at my door trying to get in during the night and stuff. But anyways, I went to sleep, and it was so crazy because when I woke up, I looked at the phone and it was 6. It was like 6 something in the morning. I was like, whoa, I haven't had that happen in I don't even know how long. Fuck, I don't remember the last time I woke up and it said 6 something, even though really it's 4 in the morning where I'm at. So it's normal for me. But anyways, to look at the clock, it says 6. But anyways, there's a lot of humidity here. So I think whatever is making me even more have to scratch my throat or clear my throat more. So anyways, let me think of, anyways, yesterday I didn't really see much of what was going on. My brother was really excited though. He's like, it seems like you were just here. I was like, I know, it only seemed like it was a short time ago. And I was cutting his hair again. And he said, when are you coming back? And so I'm going to try and come again. I don't know when. And then if I live my mom's, then I'm back to having dog sitter problems. So anyways, but I got to see. Just got to see things. One thing when I was looking on TikTok, it just is like everybody is in problem zone. It's just problem zone everywhere. Everybody's got problems. They're losing their homes. They're losing everything. And I just feel like it's the brink. It's where everybody had to get to for things to change. And so, yeah, it seems extreme. But when there's only like 20 people or 30 people, and that's why I jumped in on board with going in that direction, because I knew it was coming anyways. And I knew it was gonna, I gotta try and move my leg without moving this thing. And so I knew it was gonna be going, and I already had lost stuff already, you know. It is kind of like shedding. So I know people get real like, it's hard when you're building your life up, and then all of a sudden it starts being taken while you're alive. Because when you die, it's always like you can't take it with you. But when you start losing it after you built it, then it's like, fuck, man. And I still, like, when I look back at all the things that I left behind and all the things I've left behind throughout my lifetime, it gives you a pain in your heart, you know? So it still is like hard, no matter what. Losing anything, leaving things behind is always hard. And but it's like where humanity had to get to in order to like plateau us into the change, into to like knock us so that things would change. So that's why I also feel like we're right on the brink of change, because it seems like there's such a huge amount of people who are on the cliff. It's getting crowded. So now it's time for things to go, and it's going to be like, but see, it's got to be extreme. It's got to be extreme, because otherwise, you know, it was a near miss. People have got to feel the real pain, because that's what changes their priorities. And so that's what makes change, is when people really feel the pain. And so that's why, you know, it's got to be extreme. And so, and I feel like it is pretty extreme, like right now. So it seems like to me, all the signs are leading up to something's about to change, because that's the thing. It's going to seem like we're just going off the cliff faster and faster, like the waterfall spouts, and everybody's just go to drown. But really, it's going to kind of like, you go over the waterfall, but you go into a lake of peace and tranquility. But that is the process of letting go, is a process that you need to do, of learning how to just let go what matters and what doesn't matter, so it creates your new priorities. But I don't know, there's all this talk, well, not everybody's going to do it, not everybody's going to do it. But still, there's changes in humanity happening, even if not everybody gets to the same point in healing, and the same point in spirituality, and the same point of understanding and stuff. So I didn't really see a lot yesterday, because I was just hanging out with them and talking and stuff. And then I went to bed, and now I got up, and then I went and looked on TikTok to see what was going on. Hold on. So I went to go see what was going on, which I wanted to say too, is because some people I don't think know this. So if you have honey, gosh dang. So if you have honey and it starts hardening or crystallizing, you can put it in hot water or warm water and let it melt, just like you can melt sugar. So put it, but you gotta be careful. If it's too hot, you'll melt the bottle. So you could put it in a glass, well, if you can't get it out of the container. But, so anyways, you can unharden it, but just don't make the water too scalding or something. Let it sit in pretty warm water, and it will melt it and start making it where it's liquid again. Because they had 3 bottles, and they all would get to a certain point, and then they would become crystallized, because they probably didn't use it all the time, so they would just buy a new one. And so I was down there uncrystallizing honey, because I use honey every day. So anyways, I was just thinking, I bet you a lot of people don't know that. But anyways, that's all you got to do. When it crystallizes and becomes hardened and stuff, it doesn't have to stay that way. It's just like sugar. So anyways, so when I went on TikTok this morning, so some of the stuff I saw. Yeah, shit. So, one of the things was, so the victims from the island, now they're going to put out the list. They are going to write down who it was that victimized them. They're going to make a list and release it. And I thought, that is smart. That is so smart for because I think, you know, when we think of the government, we've got the dark government and we've got the light government that's trying to come in. And they've got to come up with new ways, because the dark government spent so much time tricking, indoctrinating, lying, and stuff like that. So the approach has to be very thoughtful. It has to be very, like, they have to maneuver through a lot of obstacles to get truth and knowledge out. I think that is one of the things why there's so many weird kind of AI accounts and stuff. I don't think they're all bad. I don't think they're just trying to trick us. I think they're trying to communicate or enlighten us or create thought, trying to get us to create thought-provoking questions, to start reevaluating life, to bring information in that has been hidden from us. So that's why I said not all this stuff is bad, even though, you know, you can go and be like, oh, that was a lie, that was a trick. Well, somewhere, someplace, I don't think it's lies. I think it's ways to bring information into us. Just like these people right now, Donald, you know, he got them all to tune in because they all thought he was dead. So they want to go check and see if he's dead. And then they drop all these little seeds of AI's tricking you. So that they can start seeing they're being tricked through the media and the some of the other, because they were already had been talking about, you know, he's a clone, the media is tricking us, and then he said that the footage was AI provoked and stuff. But see, it gets their brains to open that I see it like in a submarine, like you go through those doors and you have to twist them shut, like hatches or something. So that's weird too, yeah, like hatching an egg, you know, opening up for information, opening up for change. So, so it's like they're opening up these rusty old hatches in their brain to open up new pathways of thought, because the dark side has been trying to close all their doorways and then create fear, like put them in a nightmare, close all the entries so they're in a room, they can't get out, and then I see it like Jesus fuck. I see it like you know, like if like if you were locked in a room and then they put a speaker out of your room and it was putting in beats, like the room is just permeated with this sound. And so it's like they do that to people's psyche, and that, so they create fear, they create disconnect, and a lot of stuff, abandonment. They feel, you know, abandoned because they're disconnected from their higher self. They're disconnected from their truth, their self. And so they, which is the concept of being disconnected from God. But I just also seen this guy who was asking ChatGPT, what is God? Who is God? And it said the same thing. I was like what I said. It's not a person. It's a consciousness. It's like we're all in the mind of a consciousness. And that consciousness would be the source of all thought or energy, which would be the God. So like I said, it's like you could think of the universe being a giant brain, a giant mind, and we're the thoughts inside. And so, and then that's why I said, when you think of the what we are and stuff, you wouldn't judge us, just as you wouldn't sit there and judge all of your thoughts. They're just thoughts. They're what if, what if, what if. And that's why all experiences are what ifs. What if this happened? What if it went this way? What if that happened? What if this way? But as the thought process, we become conscious of ourselves, and we learn and develop through all the what ifs. What would I do this? What would I do if that? What would I do about this? Then you create form, even though not form in the sense of material form, but it is form nonetheless of form of thought. It's giving an idea a stage to play out, a parameter of being. And so you are your thoughts. It's the micro macro. So what your thoughts are, and that's why we have, in this realm, we have so much interference into our thoughts, where people get lost from their thoughts and they think their thoughts are them, but really you have a communication interference that is keeping you distracted. Just like I said, it's the speaker outside of the closed-in room that is going and putting in the beats where you can't even create who you are because they're making so much noise. And that's the battle in the game, is to go through the noise, break through the noise. So that is the finding your path to get out of the room with all the noise. And so it's finding the path back home, finding your way out. And so the, hold on, let me get another drink. So, anyways, that is, but in the micro macros, so your thoughts, like we are the thoughts of, oh yeah, okay, because we are the thoughts of the, what I would call a universal consciousness, or I've always referred to it as universe, but then people start calling source, and a lot of people refer to as God, so I say God a lot. But my idea of God is not the same as their idea of God. What they think of as God is a person that's over us, and like a higher being, but it's really all things together are God. It's the mind. It's how you break it down. And so the mass, I just see it like the universe. It's like the action, and see how it's ever expanding and how it can move out from becoming bigger and bigger. See how we expand it through experience, so we give it more knowledge, just like us in this world going to school and filling our brains full of more knowledge, and then it expands our brain. Even if our knowledge is tricking us here, which they're doing, but you can use things. That's the transmutation of energy, is to what they try and do, you flip it so you can transmute, so you don't get caught up in the lies. You look at the positive of, this is, you know, it's making my brain work more, it's making me grow, and then it should be helping you connect more to yourself and use your discernment. And so it's all ever expansive. It's all in a state of expansion. So nothing, that's why I said there is no judgment. Like in the higher mind, it's not judging itself. And if there's judgment, that's why it goes into lower, like the lower sense of self, the lower mind, because it's the higher. I see it like if you took a diagram of a brain, the higher vibration would be out on the outer sides of the brain, where there's not so much holding it in, where it can create more growth and expansion. In the inner, in the dark, it's more in, then that part would be the dark side of thought, so the dark side of reality, and that would be a place where it is more of the containment of fear and stuff. But then see how there can be, just as we have brain cancers or different parasites, we are the parasites. We can be the parasites to the brain of the universe. So, which I still, if I say the universe, it's the mind of the existence, mind of existence, is the universe, which is ever expansive, which is where you go in to communicate. And that's also makes a difference if you're communicating with the dark side or the light side. And people, a lot of people here, they're trapped in the dark, because you have to question more than the information, because it's like you have to use your discernment. Like, is this positive information? What is this information doing for us? What is it doing for me? What is it doing for the collective? What is it doing for this space and time? So the light, the positive, is about expansion and learning and growing. And so when you are in the other, it's judgment, fear, disconnect, and stuff like that. Hopefully I'm making sense, because it makes sense to me. I can understand it. But trying to explain it, then it's like, but I think you can understand the things that you're vibrating with, and then other things that can also be, even if somebody can't like understand what I'm saying, it can still plant a seed so that the universe or their soul or whatever can take that seed and make it grow. It also depends on what they're here to grow. What is their garden here to blossom? So it's not like they're failing. If they don't understand me, you're a failure. You don't get it. That is a lower mind concept, because every thought has purpose. Every thought has existence, and there is no good or bad. It is all like a form of expansion, of growth. And so that is, it's a lot more productive if that's how you look at life and look at people and stuff. Not out of judgment, but anything they're going through is an expansion to the universe. So it's a positive thing, because it is growing the universe. So even if it's stuff where you look at it and go like, hell no, I already learned that. I already understand that. I would never do that. And they are doing it. Well, they get an opportunity to learn it too. You know, we don't, that is us trying to shut down thought. That turns us into a disease against the higher mind, because it is in the process of expansion all the time. And when we try and close it down, then we become that of what we are, in a trap. We become a disease. We become something that is trying to control and contain and not allow, because that's what the universal mind is about, allowing, because that is how expansion works. And then it's also like learning how to trust that, man, hold on, that's hard. Hold on. Oh, I gotta move my leg. I've got this little table right here with my thing in front of me, so I'm like crammed. Well, I'm sitting on this big cozy recliner though. Hold on. Okay, so so the God concept. So I had seen this video, it keeps popping into my mind. It was a girl. It seemed like she said something about, if you're trying to control things or think things are wrong, that is showing that you don't trust God or something like that. And so that's kind of this concept. If you are trying to judge or control, it's like you're not trusting the process. You're not trusting God. You're not trusting the universe to know what to do with itself. And so you are therefore trying to create yourself as being, yeah, like the wealth of all knowledge, the all-knowing, the one who is in control, which is it's like the ego creating itself as a god, but it's like a competition with the universal energy, because that's why it's a lot more productive to get into the flow of the universe, because then you are in the flow of growth and expansion. And when you are trying to stop it, then you are essentially thinking it doesn't know what to do with itself. Like you're the one who has to step in and figure it out. And that is the ego battle of you as a being in existence with its environment. And so that's why, you know, in the teachings of living in this planetary system or this realm, that it is more productive to learn to sit back and to get in the flow, not try and force, not try and control, and to move out of judgment. And I don't know if it just is something to do with like the realms and the vibration and stuff, like, but it's definitely a part of the process to move into the higher vibration, is learning how to get into the groove, get into the flow, and get out of judgment and get out of control. And that is very ego driven. And then that is where we are watching that kind of stuff play out, you know, but it's also plays out in the sense of social justice warrior. They know what's best and stuff. But see, that's part of their awakening, what I keep talking about. The side of themselves, they don't see it because they feel justified in how they approach the situation, thinking, well, I'm going to judge you, I'm not going to hire you, I'm going to hate you because I believe you're this, I believe you're that. And but even if you are this or that, you have every right to be this or that, because that's your experience of what you're here to experience in yourself. And the soul, it's like trusting into the soul, trusting into the positive, trusting into the, you know, like my soul knows how to feel it, how to fix it. My soul knows how to, you know, work through it. I'm not going to stay stuck being the bad guy for the rest of eternity. And if you are, then, you know, there needs to be some bad guys for the good guys. So, because that's one thing too, is like how much people get into hate over the bad guys, but without the bad guys, there would be no sense of experience. There has to be the polar, the back and forth, the two energies opposing one another in order for expansion. So they need each other to even create the feeling of being alive. It's like the same in the micro-macro of the two hemispheres of the mind, and the one of logic and the one of creativity. They need each other. You can't just, and you can see, like, if you meet somebody who's just very logical and not very creative, there seems to be a part of them missing. And you meet somebody who's just creative, just off the wall, and doesn't ever stop and think about anything, they seem to be missing something, because everything is about finding balance. It's the yin and the yang. So everything is about finding the molecular structure of light to dark, finding your own balance to become a sense of two opposing forces that become one, but can create a balance so that they can move in a productive way. Which, that, like, when I was seeing that, it like starts going and going and going and becomes the orb. It becomes the being of light. So the more you can bring yourself into balance, the more you create yourself as the orb of light, which then that gives you the abilities to move through what we consider to be the universe in a more faster, productive way. And that's why we look at these beings who move through realms as being more advanced than us, because you have to be of a certain mindset to be able to go into certain vibrations. And so they are more advanced in a sense. Like the ones that are warring and controlling aren't of the higher vibration. They're the ones that try and because it's not, I mean, it can seem by appearance to try and defeat the light, but really it's a pushback. It's like the dark has to create the light, something to chase. It has to create the momentum. And so so evil has a place, dark has a place. And these beings of control, they, you know, it's like a clock that needs all the mechanisms to make it work. And so without that, without the people who are dark and evil, then where would we be? Because how I see it is, so if you, yeah, it's weird because the sun is doing that. Because it's like, okay, so if you went up to a light bulb and you just focused on the light and how close you get, like right now the sun is just like so intense. So if you just focus on the light, that's all you can see is light. There's nothing else to see. And so see why the light needs the dark, because that gives a sense of order. It gives more to the vision. It gives more to see. So we can't just be existence of light. The light needs dark in order to give form, like give form to its thoughts, to give form to anything. Because just think about that. Like when you get super close to the light, all you can see is light. There's nothing else to see. And so that's why we need the dark. So when you want to go into judgment, that's again brings you into that, well, when you're judging the universe, and that holds you back, because the universe doesn't judge you, so why are you judging them? And when you think that you know more than the universe, then that holds you back, because then you're in competition with the universe. You think you're a god, you think you're over the sense of God, because there's nothing that can be over, because we are a part of it, because God is this energy of, it's like the energy of thought. It's the synapse of a thought. And it's, so it's, in the universe is just like, you know, the galaxy, the cosmos is just like Tron entering into your brain and maneuvering through your brain. The universe, the cosmos, the galaxies of all things is just this mind form, this thought form of creation that is ever expansive. And you know, we're constantly in a state of expansion because we're constantly creating who we are. And so that is, that's what, okay, hold on. Okay, so, okay. So right now, it was like a stagnation, like a disease, like a cancer was in this realm. It's so crazy because I have so many things that come into my mind to show, like the never-ending story, the oh, I gotta move my leg more. The never-ending story shows this concept. But this, the dark had taken over and created stagnation. And then all the light, that's where all the sense of light workers and star seeds and all that comes, because the light comes in to the disease, just like in our body in micro macro, the white blood cells go to the place of injury. So the souls, the white blood cells, the light souls, they come into the dark because, yeah, it's like they created a place that became darker and darker and darker, and taking away the light, and people became more and more sick and diseased, and more cut off from themselves. And so the light had to come in and penetrate into the dark and heal like by bringing in the light and pushing back on the dark, created a ripple, a tear, a force of energy for expansion, for new thoughts, new ways. But that is the sense of the imprisonment, because every of the souls that became in that space became in like a tumor. And that's in the micro macro, this concept of we're in this like bubble, like the firmament, and that we're surrounded by the waters. We are in a bubble because of the diseased energy of the lower vibration. And so the light had to come in and penetrate it, which the beings that were in the dark were so used to, because in the dark they were like told, they were being cut off from themselves and being told, indoctrinated and programmed. And then when the light came in, they weren't of that mindset, so they said things different. They brought in new information, but it was so foreign to the dark that the dark laughed at the light. They pushed back. That's what also the bad side of the social justice warriors, they push back. Like right now, like they're pushing back against the MAGA. It's like they don't even see what's really going on. They're pushing it back against what they, the direction they want to go, but it feels so foreign. And then the way that the dark manipulates the information through the mind control it already has. So it's like grasping onto the minds of these people. That's why you have this information coming in to penetrate into their thoughts, to create new thoughts so that they can begin to see what's around them instead of being in the trap, like in the tumor. But that's like the little hidden gems of like, now the victims from the island, they'll come out, they'll give their list, because another thing too is that this group of people, when they don't find certain names on the list, that they're sure that's the only reason they want that motherfucking list. They want that motherfucking orange guy's name on there. That's all they care about. And but that name's not going to be on there. And and even if it's on there, it's going to be on there like, yeah, I saw him, but he was never doing anything. Because don't forget, Jeffrey also had a traveling circus. Like he would go go to New York, because the prince, Andrew, there were certain places around, and stuff didn't just happen on the island. There was, apartments, there's mansions, there's all sorts of places, and they're not just this one group. We've got a whole fucking world built on this. There's fucking hundreds of fucking Jeffreys out there. And he's just the one to open our eyes to the truth, so that we can see. And this story, this is one I saw this morning. It's really gross. This woman was really bothered. But this is the truth of our fucking world. And so she was a Christian lady. And so she was invited to a barbecue at a pastor's house. So she drove the 2 hours to this big barbecue that this pastor was having at his house. I don't know what the connection, I don't know who was friends with who. But so she gets to this house, drives this 2 hours, gets to this house with this big barbecue. And then she needs to use the bathroom. So she's going in and she's opening doors, looking for a bathroom. And she just so happens to open a door that the pastor, who she did know, but he's in there, with a guy, going to Pound Town with this guy. And so she shuts the door real quick, but she said the pastor saw her. She said, I don't know if the other guy saw me, but the pastor saw me. And they made eye contact, and they know each other. So she just shut the door real quick, and she's like, hell no. She's like, I got to get the hell out of here. So she's trying to take off. And then somebody starts hollering at her, hey, where do you think you're going? Get over here. You're not going anywhere. You just got here, and all that kind of stuff, And as that's going on, and she's, well, I was just going to go out to my car and get some, because she really was just going out to get the hell out of there. And so then another person, the wife of the pastor, said, oh, tell my son to get out here with that barbecue and stuff. Then bring the meat out so we can get it going. And she says, lo and behold, guess who comes walking out? The pound towner, the bottom, comes walking out. And so she was just like, oh my God. It's not bad enough that he's in there, Pound Town, with some dude, but now it's his own son? So she's just like freaking the fuck out. And she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Because she said, I knew the pastor was going to be next coming out. And she and him, they know each other. And it was going to be way too awkward. She was like, fuck that. And she is so disgusted. She's like, I don't know if it's an adopted son. I don't know if this is his own son. I don't know what incest is going on in this fucking house. But she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So she takes off and goes home. And so she's been sitting, because it was just this weekend that it happened. And what's today now? Thursday? She said, I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, it's driving me crazy. So I came to do a video to talk about it, which I'm sure she's got a lot of people commenting. But but that is, I mean, that's being revealed everywhere. Like I said, whatever you do that you think is being done in the dark is going to have light come in on it. There's no hiding who you are anymore. There's no hiding it. You're going to be seen for who you are. And so and a lot of people don't realize that it is the beard, it's the mask. I'm a good Christian. I do no wrong, when really, they're out there doing a lot of wrong, a lot of things that, they pretend like they're not doing. Well, if you are being for real, then you would be, living your truth. You wouldn't be hiding. And so whether it's wrong or right, you're still tricking the people, because the people have the right to, like, you want to be, you want to go out there and be for real about, your son and yours relationship, and when it started or how it started, whatever the fuck. You would find your people out there. May only be one or two, and maybe behind bars, but the rest of the people, they don't want to be out there supporting you. They don't want to be a part of that, because a lot of people have certain standards, and that goes against their moral compass. And so then, they've got a whole process to go through of like, this is who I've been supporting. This is who I've been sitting down and having dinners with. And so there's a whole process. And that's why I said this process is going to be hitting hard all over the place for a lot of people. There was another one. What was the other one? There's a lot with the medical. Those people are still carrying on about this clinic going and showing all of that stuff. But also think about this, because they're all like, they're showing women's just discharge. Okay, women are not just sitting there pouring discharge out of themselves while they're sitting there. I mean, some young girls, have a lot of discharge or something, but it dries, it becomes crusty. You don't just walk around in your underwear. You take it off and it's yeasty or crusty or something. It's not just liquid. And they're all looking at this paper, and it's liquid. That is the lube, because discharge is sticky, it's gummy. And so when they use the lube to put it in there, the speculum in there, and then the women sit up and the lube comes out, and so then it leaves, though, like a print, like a fingerprint or something. It leaves a print of your vagina down on the paper, and then it's very inappropriate. It's very tacky to be sitting there showing that. But a lot of women are like, they're showing people's discharge. It's not people's discharge. And any of these nurses that think it's discharge, well, they need to go back to school. Like, get to know your own fucking body. Like, for God's sakes. But anyways, people are still freaking out about that. But there's going to be more and more being exposed. There's this other one knocking at the door. Hold on, let me think. There's another big thing. Oh, there's another one in the church community of pastor that's being exposed right now. Must be the TV or news or something. Because I'm not here alone. But, so the some pastor, and it seems like it's a woman, but I'm not sure. But she's married if it's a woman. But anyways, this pastor, this big billion-dollar mansion or something like that, and so then it's showing, you know, like this is no pastor should have a house like this. Like they're taking money, where are they getting the money? Like, and if the church, if you're giving your donations to the church, is it so the pastor can buy $1 billion mansion and leave poor people starving in the streets? No, the works, the works supposedly. I mean, you know, if you're following the path of Jesus, Jesus wasn't, you know, to go sit up on the hill in his castle and look down at the poor. He went down there and tried to make them see that they could have more, be better, do more. You know, he was trying to walk the walk and lead the leader, be a leader, and not, you know, sit out there like. So when you have a church that's supposed to be doing the works of Jesus, then you're taking the money. Everybody's like, here, yeah, I can give some, I want, you know, to help. And a lot of it think, oh, well, it's the ministry. They're spending it on the ministry, you know, to send out people to go spread the word, to save souls or whatever. But really, what should the church be doing is going and, you know, building more programs for the poor, the uneducated, the troubled. So more centers, more places for people to escape abusive situations or get off the streets or get away from the drug addicts or get away from the gangs that have them trapped or whatever. So it should be a community of expansion, of creating a safe environment, not just, oh, well, we've got ministry and we send them over to Mexico because those people are too ignorant to know. Those people are probably way more spiritual, and they probably spend a lot more time praying. Well, they're Catholic. They can't be that way. We got to have it. It's like, that's all ridiculous. It doesn't matter. There's not a big God up there who's like, well, talk to me, but you better talk through this phone. No, all lines are available. Connect. So the God, the higher mind, is not worry about that shit. And then they try and, you know, create that as being something to worry about, which what it really does is create hierarchy and ego. That's why we've got this whole religious sect. That's why they argue with each other and stuff. They're all in this sense of that they know it all. They're right. Everybody else is wrong. And so they put themselves on a pedestal and they think they're better than other people. And so it feeds into the ego. It doesn't feed into a sense of unity and community and bringing us all together, because that is that is the healing. So if if you think of the space being a tumor and the light comes in to bring new information, to break up, it's like lasering in new information to break up the dark. The dark is resistant because it's sick. And then, but the light keeps going and going, more light, more light, more light. Because, I mean, some of these kids coming in nowadays are crazy old souls. They're, I don't know, there's a lot of ancient wisdom coming out, a lot of ancient souls coming into this place right now. Just as this would be a repeat pattern for any time, there would be more disease in the mind of the great mind. So, so the light keeps coming and coming and coming, more light, keeps coming to overshadow, like in the never-ending story, the light pushing back on the dark. And then but what the light creates is a space where it is healed, and it is not divided. It is not like I'm better than you. It is a sense of unity and community and love and acceptance. So it changes the energy into this other, which puts it back into a space of being healthy in the mind of the creator, if you get what I'm saying. It's like I can see the pictures, I can see the cartoon playing out, and so, but I hopefully am explaining it in a sense that makes sense to the observer. But again, even if it doesn't make sense what I'm saying, then it still is a seed being planted that, like I said, that your soul will either use, or if it doesn't matter to your storyline, then just discard it. If it matters to your storyline, it would be like, it would essentially be like in your pocket somewhere, and then something else would happen, and you'd hear something else, and then pretty soon your pocket starts being full of this, and then something starts to grow, and then you start to see. And so it's not like you have to force something. And if you have a very strong impulse or feeling inside of you, like you want to know more, that is your soul pushing you to go in a certain direction and learning, which I wouldn't know how to, where to tell you to start, because like mine's been going for such a long time, and it's been so much different stuff. So it's, I always say, starting with the concept of learning that you are born over and over, learn more about reincarnation. There's a lot on quantum theory and stuff now, so learning more about the energy. And then another place that's good is the near-death experiencers, because you see repetitive pattern, you see repetitive information, and so you take what information makes sense to you and start putting together. You formulate a concept of an idea, and just in the initial form, it is like taking a form of clay and then starting to mold it. Even if you start molding it into a figure, you will continue throughout time to change and mold that figure. So even if that's like a rudimentary thought of existence in the beginning, like, and you don't have to tell everybody, you don't have to, but when you tell people, just figure, people are gonna be like, oh my God, you're so crazy. Where do you think you get that? And, well, I'm connecting to my soul. My soul's giving me. So that's for you to work through. But, and it's up to you. You don't have to tell everybody everything. But just as you would take a clay and you would begin to form it, it can take a long time to actually have the mold, the figure that you want out of it, where you're comfortable, where you're like, yeah, that's it. Then I'm good. I get it. And so so where you start is not where you end. Where you begin is, it's only the start of it. It's only the sense of direction. So you're only going in a certain direction at that point of opening yourself up to truth, and it will come in different forms. And so it may come in, you're going to add a little bit more clay to that. And so it starts to give it form and give it a concept where you form your own philosophy, your own understanding of existence. And it doesn't have to match somebody else's, because it's through perception. And so it's how you perceive. And so, but that is where, as you continue the journey, that's where you start to begin to see you work your way out from the dark to the light. As you get out to the light, to the perimeters of the frequency, then you begin to see like, oh, we are all seeing the same thing. Oh, okay, so we all are seeing the same thing. So that even gives it more of this is real. This is what life is. That's why when some people are like, you know, they're really stuck on the God devil concept and stuff. And I, you know, I mean, there's a lot of things. You know, I mean, this is where my outlet is. This is where I talk about what I see. That because my ways of perceiving is so far fetched to the ideas and concepts that people hold at this point. And so, but I know that there's more. I know that there's people out there because it's, I mean, I just, you know, I get confirmations all the time that come out of nowhere of the things that I'm learning or seeing or understand, and then more confirmation comes in, just like my perception of it being a giant mind and how I see it, and the synapses, the grid system of light, of energy, in a diagram of a ginormous brain. And if you took that as being like, that's the universe, and then as you just think of it like a grid kind of a over the United States, and you're flying over it, and you go through areas that are dark, but then you see light, and then over here you see light and light and light, and then some cities there's a whole bunch of light. That is the mind. So the micro macro, so the universe, then we are one of those lights. We are a realm. Everything is representative of everything else. So this entire universe, the entire world, the entire cosmos is this brain with this grid, with these lights, what people think of as like this matrix. But I don't look at it like the matrix. It's not my perception. It is like a grid. Like I look at it so much more of like the brain. That's how I see it. When I start looking, it's like taking my brain out and putting it out and huge, and it just going out and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And all the things that go on in my brain, all the grid system, the light, the spark of thought going here and there and there and here and here and there, and that everything creating, you know, me walking and talking and breathing, and that aliveness, that the sparks of thought. And whereas a dead, decaying mind is dark and has no thoughts, no energy, no electricity creating form, then the mind, the cosmos of life, then it is like this just areas of light, but that is all different realities, different realms, different places of existence. And once that thought, that place, it's like, that's why I said it, it's like you're on a script, you're in a story, you're in a storyline. It's like you go into that thought, you go into that space of light to go into that storyline. You bring a story into the storyline. You're birthed into, in this place, you're birthed into a storyline to go into this light of existence, this realm of existence. Once that story's over, then it's over. And then but your story being over, that's over for you. But the stories continue for others, and that's where you could go out of that and you would still be able to see and still be able to watch, but you cannot interact in the same way. And that's why we have all these beings around us, because they can't get in to interact with us in the same way, but they can communicate. That's why you want to open yourself into communication, but that's also why you want to all understand the different stages of communication, the different levels through the vibration of communication. So that's why you've got to consider, just because a download or an information or an insight or whatever comes from the universal mind, the consciousness of where you can't see the person, It's one thing when someone's talking to you and you see them, but you have a lot of people talking to you you can't see. But you also have to be considering what is the vibration of what I'm hearing. And that's why, all these psychics, Donald's dead, and then people cheering and stuff like that. That is a creation. That is a dark energy interfering and keeping a group of people in the dark and keeping them cheering over dark things. So that's why you have to use your discernment, and the sense of discernment to me is a process of what is the good of this information. Where does this information come from? Is it expansive? Is it dark? Is it hold people back? Is it bring people forward? Like, you got to work through it to understand it so that you get more of what you're spreading. And that is going to be a part of some people's lessons of what the information that they were spreading. They were spreading the dark. And there's lots of people here who do a lot of dark stuff, and then they think that they can get away with it. But the light is coming in, and there's going to be no more hiding and pretending. You can't pretend that you're something different than you are. And that's why you got to get comfortable with being who you are and figuring out, who am I? Who am I? Why do I do this? Why do I do that? Why did I think that? Why did I think that? And so becoming more in the purest form of self is where you're going to find the most healing, the least amount of things that you have to change, the least amount of things that you have to process through. So that's why it's been, it's been going for a long time. But there's so many people who haven't been, they've just been enjoying the fruits of this what is that called? It's like the feeding into the flesh or something. Like, they've been disconnected, and so following impulse, following emotional exaggeration, following fetishes and stuff, really feeding into the flesh instead of feeding into the soul. But that when the lights come on and all the light is surrounding them, which is coming in, blasting through, on the Schumann it shows it, it's all blasting in, that it is the big reveal. And so you are being revealed, depending on how public you are, you're being revealed to the world. And then also you're being revealed to yourself. And a lot of people are going to feel like it's shameful, it's embarrassing, but those are your own judgments. Those are your own concepts that you're holding you back. So you have to realize, like, this is an opportunity for you to expand or change. So even through humiliation is a humbling experience, which is a sense of redemption, redeeming yourself. So going through the humiliation of exposure, it can also be very healing. So it's not something that you want to be like, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be doing themselves in because it's too much. They're going to feel too exposed and too humiliated. But that is your ego. And the ego is the one telling you, get out of here, get out of here. Like, you got to take your, let's go. Well, you can't be exposed to everybody. But that's only going to hold you in a loop. You're just going to go back into another life experience, because that's all it's going to be available to you, is those type of life experiences that are going to, until you cross over, until you break through to the other side, which you're breaking through to the other side of humiliation, say, in some cases. It depends. But there's a lot of people who have done a lot of dark stuff thinking, well, nobody sees me, I can do whatever I want. There's a lot of people who only think of themselves, and that's going to be exposed to them. There's going to be a lot of people who hurt people, a lot of people who are emotionally they steal your energy for their own needs. They're gonna see that sides of themselves. There's gonna be a lot of parts to people that they don't want to recognize that are going to become all consuming. And that is the sense of the time of mirrors. That is the Hopi prophecy of the time of mirrors, because you're only going to be able to see yourself. But the thing is you got to, okay, yeah. Okay, so when the mirror comes up, a lot of people, when they look in it, they're only going to see a true distortion of themselves. They're only going to see a horrible, hideous beast when they look. But you got to be thinking that the mirror is there so you can fix yourself. So you can look at yourself in a deeper way and be like, oh, yeah, I don't like that. I got to fix that. Oh, yeah, that's out of whack. I got to fix that. So it's an opportunity to fix yourself. But some people won't be able to get over the first glance of like, oh, my God, I'm a horrible beast. I can't look at myself. I can't even stand to see myself. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be the part where people are not going to be able to. And I still think this rapture thing is a lot of people leaving at once that are going to go to another reality to continue working through, because they aren't, it's like a sense of a roadblock. It's like a certain thing that holds them back as a group. Like they all have the same thing holding them back, so they'll go someplace where that can be worked through, so that they can work over these certain obstacles. Because I still think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be leaving all at the same time. In the, which right now the rapture people say it's going to go down because the time of trumpets or something is September 22nd to the 24th, which is also some astrological thing. There's a whole bunch of stuff where people are saying September, and something with September 21st is supposed to be, but we have a lot of stuff going also with politics and stuff. So there's a lot going. Like, I really think over the next couple of weeks, things are going to be really making big changes. There's going to be a lot of big turns, a lot of big reveals. And so that's going to be changing in people's lives. Or I saw this one guy talking about the, he was talking about on a different level too. He was talking about it like in a, I don't know, like the kuniyat, what is that? Why is it so hard for me to say this motherfucking word? The Kali Yuga? Kali Yuga? So I think it's like the energetic separation of the two energies. And so he was saying it's going to go 2030, and there's going to be a dramatic, but it's more of where you're aligned to, and wherever you're aligned to through like the ascension is going to put you into this period of infinity of this. But he was saying the other is going to hold you for infinity. See, I don't believe that. It may go still in cycles, but your soul is free range, man. Your soul is sovereign. And so you can get trapped in another cancer somewhere, and where you're stuck going there, but the light will come in to change the situation again. It always does. It's like you have where people want to think, oh, it's the angels or whatever, but the light coming into, so everywhere that a dark takes over, the light comes in, because it's the higher mind. It's like the universe is as important, no matter where it is. It's the same importance to us all. And so it's not gonna, it's like leave no man behind. They're not gonna leave people behind. And then plus people have these connections to other souls, other energies, because they were a part of a thought form with them. They were a part of an experience with them. So they have connections through experience. So we are all one. We are all of one. We are all of the same mind. And we interact through different realities of experience, which is different thought forms, different, like, I wonder what it would be like if, and it becomes a thought. And we go in to create the thought. We go in to ride the wave of experience so that we can understand ourselves in a more profound way. But we can't all ride the same wave, so we come into it is like playing parts. I'm riding this wave, you're riding that wave. We're all playing parts because it is the expansion. But when there becomes a stagnation where it can't go, then the light comes in to break up the dark. So it's just this patterning that happens over and over and over. So I don't see it as like, well, these people, if they don't come to the light, they're stuck in the dark forever. I don't see that. I don't see that. I mean, to me, that's like saying the universe doesn't know what it's doing. It just leaves those people behind. No, it's not like that. It's like that and if their vibration had already expanded to be able to go out further into the light, into the higher vibration, then it would go there. You can't go from the dark, jump to the light. You have to move your way out. You have to go create the vibration, the patterns that bring you out of it. That's your path. That's your journey to enlightenment. That's the road to peace and tranquility. It's the journey to get there. Because once you get out there and you see the truth, then it's like all the things I worried about in there aren't even of existence. But that's a part of what people are letting go of right now, of all the things that they hold on to, they hold near and dear, because this matters. But that is what the expansion is you begin to see, well, it doesn't really matter. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. What is matter? You know what I mean? So, so anyways, it's just an expansion of existence. And, you know, some people are riding the wave out and going back home, going back to the light. And some are, well, I think mostly anybody who comes from the light is going back to the light. But it's an easier path because you've already been there. Like, it's not, these things aren't hard for me to understand. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like having the concept of like, oh, I've been through this before. You know, or I'm ancient, man. I'm an old soul. I've been through some stuff, through different things. So it isn't like, oh, this is the first time, because it's going to feel a lot harder if it's the first time. I think when it feels like, and that's where you start getting this idea of the chosen, the light workers and all that stuff. It's just because, well, I've done this before. You can do it. It's no big deal. But it's so foreign to the souls who have been trapped in the tumor in the dark for a long time. It starts feeling like, how do you get out of here? How do you get out of here? But right now, a lot of it is, yeah, it was on the airplane, you know, when we're on the airplane, and it's they have it's dark, because we left really early in the morning. Well, it was light outside, but as everybody has their little windows shut. And then when we were at a certain point or something, I told my daughter, open the window. But when she opened it, it was like this blast of light coming in. It's like, shut it, close it. That's what so many people are going through. The light's blasting in, and so many people are like, close it, look away, because it's hurting their eyes. It's hurting their sense of self. It's exposing to them parts of themselves they don't want to see. So anyways, that's why it's this process. It's this long process. But that's also where you can see where some people who get super focused on, like, that guy over there, he's bad. That guy over there, that one with the orange hair, he's bad. Or the orange skin, whatever they say. But so they take the focus off themselves and focus on somebody else. But that's why in the big reveal, they're going to see like, oh, wait a minute, I've been focusing on the wrong person. So a lot of these people are going to have that realization. They've been putting their focus in the wrong place, on the wrong people. And that's going to happen in a lot of different ways, because there's people who have been following certain people, and then they're being exposed, just like that lady going to the barbecue and thinking she's at the pastor's. Oh, there's going to be a great day at the pastor's barbecue. We'll all be singing hymns and enjoying being godly. But then all of a sudden that whole concept falls apart. It's like, what is a godly man? Where are we? What are we doing here? You know, you have to reevaluate, you know, who you follow and why you follow them. And it always, to me, the sense of is to find the truth inside of you. Follow through you. Go to you first. Go into your concept, go into your, uh, it's like, where your discernment, where your sense of self, it's like going through you before going to somebody else. But people trust outside of themselves, but that's where it's going to fall apart. But it's to push you into you. Taking things away from you is to push you into seeing those things don't matter. Everything is to push you. That's happening in the world is to push you more to you. To take away all the things outside of you that you're holding on to, that you're clutching onto, that give you an idea or perception of what's real and what's not real. It's to push you back into yourself. So it's all for the good, even though to a lot of people it feels like it's bad, it's horrible, but it's really all for the good. So anyways, that's how I see it. That's what I understand. Let me think. There was, so you got the people now who are going to come out and say who it was that, fondled them and did things to them that were inappropriate when they were a child, which has been coming out all over the place, which you even have girls turning in their parents, and it's coming out everywhere. It's not just these kids. It's coming out in all different cities and towns. And it's coming out against sheriffs and judges and doctors and pastors and everybody. And no telling this pastor, was this an adopted kid? Was this your own kid? When did you start this relationship? I mean, he's a grown-ass man that's bringing meat out to the grill, and he's still in there letting you go to Pound Town? Like, what in the dysfunction you got going? But there is, it's funny because there is this, I don't know, there's something about, like, this thing with men, and is it because it's like the forbidden fruit, I could get in trouble for this, so it makes it more exciting, because there is a lot of this different cultures and stuff, just like the Afghanistan dancing boys or whatever, how all these men who want little boys for sexual pleasure, they get married just for procreation, but they want nothing to do with their wives. And then as they grow up, they continue these homosexual relationships, and then they also have, then they, who were the little boys, grow up and do the same thing to the little boys, but they also do it with all the men. Like, they have, like, man orgies, which there's been a lot of women who have been catching their husbands doing this stuff. Like, they're going on a hunting trip. All the guys are going fishing together, but then all of a sudden all their cars are down at a hotel, and they're in there banging it out with each other. It's like, I don't know, what the deal is, because it's not just like one culture. It's like something that is just kind of, I don't know. It's weird. Just like, all these rappers. All these guys think, oh, these are the toughest thugs, man. These thugs are fucking, don't mess with them. And really, they're just like, grab the oils, let's go. They all just want to fucking bang it out and give each other blowjobs. So, I don't know. It's weird. So, but there's something coming to the surface about it. There's something, but, it's not something I need to realize for myself, so it's not that clear to me. But there's something inside these people that they need to realize for themselves. There's something that they need to grow out of, go on, go out of that stagnant energy, learn what you learned and move on. And, but again, it's not like the universe or there's a God out there that's judging you. There's a lot of people around you that would be judging you, and they may think they're godlike, but the higher mind, the brain, the all-knowing brain, the universe, the cosmos, whatever, it's not judging you. It's not like, oh, that person's bad, we don't want them in here anymore. No, because it wants to understand all experience. So it wants to understand all experiences and how experiences occur and what drives it and how it gets there and stuff. How more join in and It's just trying to understand all thought forms, all sense of existence. So everything is ever expansive to the universe. So everything is ever expansive to the mind's eye, to the sense of being and the sense of experience. So again, when you come up with judging yourself, that's you judging yourself. And then you got to question yourself, why am I judging myself? Why can't I? So much comes from shame and guilt. And so much shame and guilt comes from exposure. So that's why we're going to see a lot of it. And a lot of people look at themselves as being something wrong with them. And some of these people, like, I don't know, like, there's been sexual abuse. And there's something about, I don't know, like a charge, like a drug. And they got some kind of charge from that experience. So then they go looking for that drug again. So that charge again. But that is like the sense of drug addiction, of always looking for that high, always trying to repeat that high, get that same high again. And so much of life is this here and now, this moment, that moment in time. And it's so funny because as you get older, there's a lot of moments in time you look back on and you're like, God, I wish I could go back there. I wish I could relive that. I wish that would have lasted longer. I wish I would have had more from that. I wish I could have experienced that longer or whatever. But everything is these snaps, these moments in time. And that is where you learn gratitude and appreciation. But you can't, it's like you can't go back and recapture that exact moment of that time. No matter if it's good or bad, no matter if it's something that you're seeking because of something that is associated from your childhood or something. You just can't, because some people got some kind of arousal from some of these experiences. That wasn't mine. Mine was escape, run, get away from them. So mine was different. But some people went through these experiences and had some kind of thing. But then also that goes back to past lives and deeper connections to people and experiences. That's why you have to go back in and go deeper into it. They may not be able to find it in this life, and you got to go past to other ones. So that's why you got to open your mind more and open yourself more to your soul's journey, not just this lifetime. That's why I think a lot of people, you can get a benefit from past life regressions or QHHTs or BHQs, where you go into deeper healing from other lives. And you may want to understand one thing out of a life, but it's going to bring you what it is that your higher soul, your subconscious. It's like, okay, because you have your conscious and your subconscious, but so is your conscious mind and your subconscious. That's hard to, because it's like your subconscious mind, it seems it would be the lower chakra, would be the autopilot, living on autopilot. You're conscious, but you're trying to break out of one into the other. So your higher mind would be the higher state of consciousness, so the more conscious, aware of itself. And the subconscious would be the one that is more not understanding of itself. But so your subconscious, so I'll do it in that. I could be wrong though how other people have explained it, but your subconscious would be trying to break more into your conscious mind. And your subconscious would be the ones of, the here, right here, I can do this, nobody can see, I don't know, it's different. It's the mind at play when it is not expanded. It's still in the lower chakra system. It's still in its pain and suffering. It's still in pain and trauma. And pain and trauma comes from a lot of lifetimes. So that's why when you go into like a BHQ or QHHT or whatever, that you go and you communicate with the conscious mind, the higher conscious. So you are communicating with the higher mind, and the higher mind could bring you information that you thought, but it's what it's trying to get you to understand. It's trying to get you to see something. So you could be thinking, well, I really want to know why I do this, but then you go into one of those sessions and it tells you something totally different about something, and it's like, well, I wanted to know about this, but it told me about this. But this is what you're here to work through. This is who your transits are. This is the people who are around you, that are bringing you information to, because those lives hold on to different parts of you, different aspects of you, that you are trying to bring yourself back into whole. Bringing yourself back into whole brings you into your higher mind, your higher state of consciousness, which is the path to, because you got to think of yourself, your higher mind, your higher state of consciousness being on that, the outside of the brain. Like if you took the whole cosmos as the brain, so on the outside is the higher mind, the higher vibration. And it's like your higher state of consciousness is like fishing, almost like throwing in a line into an existence of reality, so we can go in and, yeah, to see what the catch of the day is, to see what it catches from learning through that experience. And then it's like pulling itself back to itself. But once it throws the line in, it's like it can get stuck in the murky waters, and then it's getting pulled by all these different things. So it's in the action of always trying to pull itself back. But you can build resistance because you start holding on. Yeah, it's like you're down in these murky waters with all of this junk that people have thrown in, and you're holding on to all this junk, and your higher mind is trying to pull in the line, and you are carrying all this baggage. That's why there's this huge part right now of letting go of things, letting go of all of these different things that you hold on to. But it's been going on for a long time. It's not just one life. You've been down in these dark waters for a long time. And so that's the path back to self. The journey back to self is the letting go of all the things that you think give you the idea of you, when really it's the reconnection to yourself. But that's the coming out. But that's the part too, again, when these people, then you just jump from here to there. But I don't know, maybe they've done it so many times that they can just jump from there to there. But to the people who are here, who are trying to make their way there, it's a journey. It's the healing journey is what I would say, because the things that you hold on to, you got to begin to ask yourself, why? Why do I hold on to this? Why am I thinking this matters? Why do I think that matters? What are all my roadblocks? What are holding me back? And each one being an obstacle in the obstacle course of life, each one is where you want to, make your way through, getting over the obstacles, letting go of things, where there's, two of you trying to go across the thing at one time, is to not get yourself lost in somebody else, to keep yourself on your own. And that's where you have to create boundaries. You have to create, like, this is a sense of self. This is where I'm at. That's where you are. Because so many people suck out from other people because they don't know where else to find themselves. So anyways, it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a complexity to the whole experience. But that is what you are essentially doing, is finding your way through to find your way out. And it's a journey, and there's no shame in the journey. It's not, and that's why, the people who don't make it out this time, it's not like, oh, well, they were bad, they're too stupid, they couldn't wake up. It's not like that. It's like their journey continues, and it's a beautiful experience to find your way back to yourself. And so when it's happening all the time, so your higher mind, your higher self, the higher vibration sense of self is more on the outskirts, more in the, just like if I said, if you took a diagram of a brain, and we're in, we're down in the, I can't think of all of the parts of the brain, but we're down more in the density of it. And then when it goes out, where there's more free form, more free thought, more movement, that is where your real sense of consciousness exists. So that's where you're connecting. That would be your higher self, if you get what I'm saying. Anyways, I think I gave a lot to chew on today about that. But was there something else? It seemed like there was something else I was going to say. I don't know. Let's just look at my hairdo. Let's see what's up with that. If it's growing yet. I think my tooth is looking better, though. I definitely do. And I don't know if it's too dark in here to see. I definitely think it's looking better. And I don't know if it's too dark to see the skin. But I think that those, I really got to look up and see, like, because I really don't want to be putting, because I don't know, and I don't even know, like, is hydrochloric acid not good for your skin? Is it good for your skin? Like, is it really good? Because it takes, because one thing is, like, I was using face scrub. Ever since I was young, I started using face scrub. And then as I started having kids and teenagers, and then once the Kardashians started making their skin stuff, and then it was like, no, it's really bad for your skin. And there's walnut shells or something that tears your skin up. It's like, well, I've always thought it was good for my skin. It was good for my skin, especially when I was younger. I had big pores, and it was like I gotta clean them all. And now I have like lots of freckles and age spots or whatever, but and that's the thing, is like, I don't know, it seems to make it offensive to people. Like, it's just normal skin. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like they forget what normal skin look like, because they're all out there slathering on poison on their skin because they're scared of the sun. Oh no, it's weird. But I don't know if some of these acidic products are good, to get the dead layers of skin off, and then the sloughing, and you clean them off, and then it keeps your skin fresh. So I don't know. That's one of the things, like, you gotta kind of look into more things, but there's so much stuff, for fuck's sake. There's so much stuff to look into. And it's also, then it gets even crazier, because this isn't even real. Like, what is my hologram? What does my hologram need? But then there's this whole thing of that they can, in this depth of reality, that they can fuck with our hologram and make it sick and shit. Like, this place is trippy. Like, really, it's very trippy. So, anyways, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna look it up more, though, about this product. I think it's called JIJU. It's Korean healthcare, which everybody, or Korean skincare, which everybody's all, that's the trend, Korean skincare, because they have such good skin. But, I mean, and don't forget, your skin also has to do from inside out, too. You can't just put a bunch of stuff on your skin and then have a really bad lifestyle and a really bad diet and think your skin is going to be doing good. It's like you have to be feeding everything, you have to be feeding healthy things on the inside and on the outside. So I don't know, but I do think that is doing something to my skin. So I don't know. We're like, man, is this spot getting lighter? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And I do have to look it up, but anybody else who wants to look it up, I think it's JIJU. But there's a whole bunch. Like, just go look up Korean skin products, and find different things you want to try, because that's the trend, and it's supposed to be more natural and healthy too. You're supposed to be putting like more things in it that are good for you. But that's why I was like, well, is everything good for you? Or should we be putting this on our skin? I don't know. I mean, they got scientists too. I think America is the biggest in the science, the crazy mad scientist running our country. Like, I think ours is the worst, but it's been going, I mean, it's everywhere. But ours was created, they created America for it or something. So anyways, that's how I look at it. That's my thoughts. But just remember, because, things are going to keep just getting crazier and crazier. Things are going to keep heating up more and more and more. And there's going to be a lot of people who are hating themselves, feeling shame, feeling guilt, feeling stupid, feeling embarrassed, feeling overexposed. And so the journey back to self is learning how to love yourself, learning how to love everybody else, and how to have the day you want to have. It's up to you. So anyways, but we'll talk about it again tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.